Yo, how many times have you heard that blood is thicker than water? We always say, but there's another interpretation of that quote that reads, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Which one is it? I have no idea, but I want to dig into that a little bit today. Sibling relationships can be so complicated at times. There can be so many emotions involved and regrets and disappointments and feelings that sometimes we're not as close as we were as children. And it's a very sad thing to see, seeing siblings grow apart when they used to be so close. I was speaking to a good friend who asked me to dig into this topic a little bit about sibling relationships and how to reconcile. And I'll say being estranged from a sibling is something that I'm not the most experienced in, but I do have a unique perspective on how to grow to love a sibling that you didn't really know or love before. So let's get into it. First and foremost, this is very common to have estrangement in the family. I think there's a study that says over 40% of people experience some type of family estrangement in their life. So this isn't unique. Okay, everybody deals with it, so don't feel out of place. Don't feel like there's something wrong with you for having these types of issues. It's perfectly normal. Now, when I look at my siblings, these are my best friends. I'm one of 11. I look at all of them the same. 5 different moms. We grew up in different households, different places, different states, different situations. But over time, I can't imagine not having every last one of my siblings being my sibling, because these are my favorite people in the world. I feel so blessed to be in this position, and I think that anybody who has the opportunity to bring those relationships back to where they should be, I think you should take advantage of it. Completely cutting ties with a sibling should be your last resort if it's just impossible to mend. I think first you have to figure out why you and your brother, you and your sister are estranged in the first place. What tore y'all apart? Especially if y'all grew up in the same household, so many of your stories and experiences growing up were shared with this person, you know? And oftentimes you would think that that makes us closer, but sometimes our place in the story or our perspective on it or our reaction to it can cause us to drift apart. So we gotta find out why. Some people deal with resentment, right? Some people, they feel as if the parent had a favorite, or the golden child, a child that never did wrong, and this other child was kind of seen as the troublemaker or the one that gave the parents headaches or whatever the case was. I know growing up, my sister, she was the oldest, you know, so it was 3 boys and 1 girl. Malik, my sister, was the oldest, and she had to do things that I didn't have to do. I never had to work a job in high school, never ever. My mom told me I could go play ball and go work for a scholarship, and that's what I did. I worked for it. I got to just focus on school and playing ball and on my friends. I didn't have to ever think about working a job, helping out with a bill. 15, 16 years old was never a part of my life, and I appreciated that. And I know my sister missed out on certain things that she shouldn't have had to deal with simply because of the situation we were in. She shouldn't have had to work at that age. If she wanted to, cool, but I thank my sister often for the sacrifices she made, kind of being like my second mom at the time, where all we had was mommy. And then Malik, she stepped up and helped out and did what she could, and I was just playing ball, enjoying myself. I've never been estranged from my sister. We've never had any issues. You know, when I think about growing up, when it was just the 4 kids in the house of my mom and then my Uncle Mark, these are the people who've been with me through everything in the world. My best times and my worst times, I've always had my family. My siblings, my mom, my grandma, my uncle, yo, I've always had this core group, and we've never strayed from each other. I realize there's a privilege in that. Now, some people may look at different families and think that, okay, this one child is the favorite, this one child is this and that, and I'm not gonna lie, at times there have been small struggles with kind of almost feeling guilty for accomplishments, you know? Everything, like sometimes people look at me and they say, oh, well, he got the Vanderbilt scholarship, he got the Northwestern scholarship, he did this, he did that. And what I always remind people is, look, I'm nothing without my siblings and what they did for me and how they held me down all these years. So anything I ever accomplish, it goes to them first. I don't take credit for anything. So finding out why you're estranged in the first place is so important. Like, what is it? Are you harboring that resentment for your sibling? Are you just jealous of them? What is the deeply rooted issue that we can address and try to get past it? So one thing my mom always reminded me when I did start to get to know my other siblings was that this situation, whatever y'all were raised like, whatever the girls were raised like, everything involved, none of it is the children's fault. We didn't ask to be in this situation. We didn't ask to be products of the mistakes and the downfalls of our own parents and their bad decisions. We didn't ask for it. We were just born into it. So don't you ever punish your brother or your sister because of what they were presented with and just how they just reacted to it. You were a child, man. I think one big step is to forgive yourself and forgive your sibling. We're just human beings trying to figure it out at the end of the day. And when I thought about it like that, it helped me to grow closer to my other siblings. Not one of my 10 siblings asked the Lord, whoever asked, look, can I please be put into this situation where my dad's not here, or I'm dealing with this, or I'm dealing with that, or I gotta grow up without these siblings and meet them later and meet this one even later and later. None of us asked for it. But I know one thing, when our parents are gone and they pass on, I don't have nothing but my siblings. We don't have nothing but each other. Regardless of our backstories, regardless of our history, we share DNA. And that doesn't always mean that that person is the best person in the world, but we share DNA. And to me, that's strong enough for me to fight for it. If you're trying to reconcile, I think one big step is to find a way to reach out. It's easier said than done, but I think being a bigger person, just find a way to bridge that gap just a little bit, to let them know you care and let them know that you're thinking about them. I think it goes a long way. Therapy and counseling, if the other party is willing, family counseling, family therapy, why not? We were just having a discussion in our group chat not too long ago with my dad and all the kids about just doing a healing retreat, man. Just going, getting an Airbnb or something for a weekend and just everybody just lay everything on the table and just talk. Siblings, parents, let's just talk. Let's just get past all this stuff so we can move forward. I think that's extremely important. And when it comes to your sibling, you gotta know this person, yeah, maybe y'all have grown apart, but this is like your best friend, man. It's the person that when you scraped your knee, they picked you up, you know? When somebody tried to pick on you, they stepped up and said, nah, I'm not gonna let it happen. They rode bikes with you, man. They had pillow fights with you. Went to the lake with you, pool hop with you, played basketball, did everything with you, man. I know sometimes it seems like you're so far gone, but there's always a chance as long as y'all still got breath in your lungs. Once you reach out, I think you should learn to accept the past. Don't dwell on it, but accept the past and then look to the future and just appreciate the present. Appreciate the scars and the bumps and bruises and everything over time. If there needs to be a discussion about the past and why a certain sibling may have felt a certain way, or how you ended up breaking apart in the first place to where you don't speak for a while, that discussion should be had, right? But you gotta go into it with no judgment. You gotta go into it taking accountability for the part you played. It's so easy to look at one of our siblings or somebody that we think has done us wrong and blame them for whatever was going on. Say for instance, if I feel as if my mom had a favorite kid, right? If I'm in that situation and growing up, I start to resent my sibling because I think my mom had a favorite kid. To heal, to get past it, I would need to talk to my sibling and say, yo, I really did feel like this growing up, man. And this misplaced anger has been shifted onto you, and you don't deserve that from me. I think taking responsibility for how you can add value to that relationship and how you can improve things, it goes an extremely long way. And then if you don't want to make it awkward, find ways to invite them to little small events in your life. Yo, like, yo, I'm going to watch the game over here. You want to come with us? Or I'm having a little cookout. You can slide through. Don't put any pressure. Don't set any strong expectations. Just give them the opportunity. At some point, they'll probably come around and just say, okay, I'll go check out a little bro. I'll go check out a little sis or whatever. We'll see what they got going on. And when they do come around, don't feel pressure on either side to be as close as you once were in the immediacy of the reconciliation. That's not possible. It's not realistic, right? Give them space and time to grow and vice versa. And understand that some traits might still exist and they're never going to be a perfect person, and neither are you. But sometimes you gotta just learn how to fit people into your life. With family especially, you know? Yeah, maybe you don't want to get rid of your sibling as long as they haven't crossed some crazy line. Maybe you don't want to get rid of them, right? But you gotta understand, okay, I can't really be around my sister or brother in this situation, these kinds of situations or scenarios. So I'm gonna keep them where I need to keep them in order for us to have a healthy bond. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Setting boundaries and then ridding yourself of expectations is so strong. If your brother or your sister is a negative Nancy or something, they always got an issue with something, you can tell them, hey, look, when you do this, it makes me feel this way, so if you start doing this, I have to separate myself, but I love you. And I love to have you around when you're in a different space. Sometimes you gotta set those boundaries and put those walls up and say, look, you can't pass here. If you are gonna be this way, you can't pass here. But if you decide to think about what I'm want and what I need in our relationship and vice versa, that we can come together and have that bond be strong again. And it really does help to look at the reasons why your relationship can work versus the reasons why it can't or it hasn't. Focusing on the negatives only bring more negatives, and you start to get this confirmation bias of why this person is so bad for you. Without putting on the rose-colored glasses, but just being objective, think about the beautiful traits that your sibling has and how that adds value to your life and beauty to your life too. Even in their imperfection, in their crazy, whatever they are, Think about how that adds beauty to your life. And it really does help to treat this relationship as a brand new relationship. I know we have to address the past, but try to really emphasize the present and then have hope for the future, that y'all can have the strong bond y'all used to have, or even establish a much more beautiful bond moving forward. I think there's a possibility as long as both parties are genuinely interested in doing so. Now, sadly, there are times where a sibling reconciliation is not possible. If a sibling is abusive, verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is, maybe it's not the best to reconcile with them if they have these extremely toxic habits that place you in danger or place themselves in danger around you, or jeopardize your life. You know, I think that's a valid reason to not reconnect with your sibling. And even then, I would still say keep the love alive. Maybe just love them from a distance even more. Maybe they can't be around you on a day-to-day, but you can love them from afar, because they're still your brother, they're still your sister, you know? The most important thing is that we have to remove the ego from these situations. It's so easy to look at somebody and place the blame on them, or just talk about how everything went wrong, or think about how much easier it is to be without them. But when you get older and you start to reflect on things, like think about how many people in the past you've had beef with, or you cut ties with, or whatever, and some of these people, yeah, they're better off not being in your life, but how many people have you had disagreements with over some petty things, and you look back and you don't even know why you were mad in the first place? I've had friends that I kind of fell out with in the past, you know, and as time went on, even in my young age, as time went on, I'm like, damn, I don't even remember why we kind of fell off, yo. And whatever it was, you my boy still. I can't just be gone. Yeah, we might have had some time apart to where we weren't seeing eye to eye, but at the end of the day, when I had nothing, you were here, bro, and vice versa. And so I'm never gonna take that for granted. So even if it takes some time, I think there's still a chance for us to get back. Give it a chance, embrace the process, grieve, cry, laugh, whatever you have to do, but give it a chance. If you're the only one trying, it makes it a lot tougher, I'm not gonna lie, but keep your intentions pure, keep your heart genuine, and keep yourself open. I think that's sometimes all you can ask for is the opportunity. And as long as you, God forbid, can leave this earth knowing that you gave everything to be the best brother or sister you could be, I think you can live with that. I love you all, and Godspeed.